Honestly, I feel parents have this thing in their head about screen time. I have noticed, especially in India, that the screen time mostly happens more at home.
Are our children really prepared for life or just examinations?
You have to understand that today we have to have skills. You have to have a set of skills. It's our responsibility to make sure that as educators, we change with time. We show the children the skills that are required. Most of our educators, we are going to be training them specifically for, having these child psychology sessions with them.
Through Aura World School, how do you want to maintain this balance and create this meaningful impact where you want to give back to the society and the local communities?
I think you cannot work without that. So at Aura, we want to have as many people who are from here. So yeah, we're looking at having a beautiful community in Aura as we all work together.
Welcome to Unscripted with Joyce. Here we have intentional, unfiltered and sosegado conversations that flow straight from the heart. This isn't a podcast about titles, about timelines or tidy successes. It is about the pauses, the pivots, the questions that we didn't have answers to, and the journeys that have shaped us into the person that we've become today. Here, we slow down and we listen. I'm Joyce, and this space is an invitation to reflect, to feel, and to remember that becoming is always a work in progress. Our first series focuses on a subject that is very close to my heart, a field where I've spent most of my career in. In these episodes, we will be inviting guests who are educators and parents who will dive deep into the world of education and its true essence. They will share their stories, their experiences, and their unique perspectives. As parents, many a times we are confused and even overwhelmed when it comes to choosing the right school for our children. Is there really such thing as a right school? Or is it just a myth? Remember, education is never a one-size-fits-all, because every child is different and hence unique. Every family have got their own value systems, their rhythms, and their perspectives. The best school is not the most popular one, and it's definitely not the one that's talked about a lot. It's the one that focuses on their strengths and their ways of learning. My first guest is someone whose work in education has been beyond admirable. She has been on the board of directors and founding teams of numerous schools and educational institutions across Maharashtra. She believes that education is human, unhurried, and rooted in well-being. What truly sets her apart is that she believes that a school has to be built around a child and not academics. In this conversation, we're going to explore all the moments that make her the educator that she is today, the questions that led her to building Aura World School, and what it means to lead with intention in today's world. Listeners, presenting to you our first guest, Reema Bhasin. Reema, welcome to Unscripted with Joyce. It's an honor to have you with me in the show today. And I'm really, really thrilled that you're my first guest.
Oh my God, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me. And I would like to congratulate you on this beautiful journey that you've taken. And trust me, you're made for this.
Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you, and this the energy that you have, and the whole world has to know. So congratulations, Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So happy.
Thank you. So let's start from the very beginning. Take us to the first day, or take us to the beginning where education started for you. What was your inspiration? Where did it start? What's the story like?
Long ago. Actually, I think it started way before I ever stepped into a school. I think it began when I saw a lot of work done by my father. So he actually came from very humble background. It was a very small village called Pavnar near Wardha. It's basically in the middle of, in the country. Basically, it's like very close to Nagpur. So, that time in the early, I don't know what, 50s or 40s, it was very difficult. He lost his father. So education for him it didn't come easy. His peers helped him. He lost his father then. And from there, once he began moving towards it, and when, kind of life got a little kinder to him, he was under the, mentorship of Mr. Shad Pawar. And from there, it moved towards in this very, very natural direction from politics to, and he really wanted to work in education, because he felt it so rooted, So he started this Sanstha about 45 years ago. And as a kid, I remember so well, so vividly. I used to follow him to his meetings and how connected he was with everyone. He would meet everyone. He would speak to each and every employee, whether it was your back staff to the principal, and everyone could meet him. It was never like, crossing or, hierarchy or something like that. And the amount of detailed attention to detail he had, he just made sure that education was the forefront of his institute and nothing else. So I think that inspiration, I don't know, I don't want to call it legacy or something like that, but it's kind of, I feel it's ingrained in me since seeing him. You always want to be like your parents, and I always wanted to be like him. I want to do stuff like him. So I think it started from there for me, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. That's such a
Yeah.
wonderful story.
Yeah.
Was there any defining moment, if you can think of,
Yeah.
that has shaped you into the educator that you are today?
Oh God, to be honest, Joyce, there is when we did go to school, and way it was, the blackboard and teachers teaching, and you have to regurgitate whatever you've learned. I was never very good at that. It's not that I was not interested or not curious, but it was just the systems that we had at that time. They were very fit the mold kind of a box, and I was always a little kind of a little rebel, a small little rebel. So,
Noted.
yeah, so I was always, the outstanding student. Just get out of my class, Rima. No, but honestly, that really, today to think about it, who the person I am. It didn't. It's not that I wouldn't want to perform. I think it was boring. It didn't engage me enough at that time. I was not engaged as a person in school. So yeah, I think when I did get the opportunity to get into education, it's my priority now. How do I make education engaging? The classroom an engaging place. So yeah, I think it's mostly comes through rebel.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Rima, for that answer. We're going to move into the traditional school setups.
Mm-hmm.
We've all had taste of traditional school setups, and you and I have both studied in a traditional school setups.
Yeah.
What, according to you, is wrong with this setup?
Everything.
And also tell us, what is this drastic change this whole education ecosystem needs today?
Okay. I think drastic is it's a very heavy word. I genuinely don't think nothing has to be drastic in life. Yes, with the traditional. With us when it came India per se, we were not pre-colonization. What was education? I mean, have you ever thought about it? How did the children get educated in India before we were colonized by the Britishers? So it was more like a like a Gurukul, a community building, right? It was like a Gurukul system where there were teachers, where the kids would go, not only with academics or understanding, there were life skills. They were taught how to build homes, they were taught how to do archery, agriculture, and everything molded well. Women were taught how to weave, and even the men. So it was based with your life, that what you need to survive, right? So that was our education pre-colonization. And then the famous Britishers come in, and what they want is clerks, they want factory workers, and then the molds started moving in. So I honestly feel those molds were there to create a certain workforce. And it was okay for maybe at that point, but now it's or that workforce is over. I mean, factories, all big factories shut down, and in Bombay, and you see big huge mills were shutting down. So so there's progress. You have to move with time.
Yeah.
So for me, traditional whatever we do, the rote learning is kind of it's out. It's more critical. It's more critical thinking. How we move towards the future is, how you can use your cognitive functions in a better way, understanding, and have multiple skills. You cannot just be an engineer. Oh, I'm an electric engineer. I mean, you have to have 5 skills, my friend, today. Otherwise, the electric engineering is gone. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rima, now for a very important question. From smart boards to artificial intelligence, slowly and rapidly, we can see technology making its way to classrooms. What's your take on that?
What is slow about this technology?
I know, and this rapidly as well, right?
Plus, it's really quickly happening. Everything's changing really fast. No, but for me, even the spears that the early humans used, that was technology for them. Then a lot of things came. Every time humans being started, agriculture, there's technology in it, understanding things. So with our history, with the computers, when the computers were there, oh my God, Y2K is happening and the world is collapsing. So I think when there is a change coming, you can see something is changing. There's a lot of fear that starts, with normally it's natural, I think. Fear is a very natural feeling that you get, when you suddenly know, okay, things are going to change. But you cannot run away from it, Joyce. Honestly, you cannot run away from technology, and it's a part of our human evolution, and we have to move with times. There has to be a lot of you cannot restriction. I feel with our kids today, the amount of restrictions we'll put into them, the more they're going to just fall behind.
Yes.
It's a way, people might get a little this thing with this answer, but it's true.
I'm sure they do, because I think you've rightly pointed out to the word fear, because a lot of things are operating on the basis of fear today, and technology, I think, in the classrooms is looked down upon.
Honestly, I feel parents have this thing in their head about screen time. I have noticed, especially in India, that the screen time mostly happens more at home than in school per se. The system, the ecosystem that our schools have, luckily, it's not like abroad where the kids are going to school with phones and it's allowed. And in India, our kids are not allowed to do that. No school allows it. So there we have some luck there, where actual screen time happens more when it's at home, than actually at school. So when you use technology at school, it is more where you're using it for administration, or you're using it for your assessments and stuff like that, where you just used it for the next, make things faster.
Yes.
You achieve your goals faster.
Yes.
That's what we...
So we're looking at two aspects here. It's your child, it's the student that's using technology. And at the same time, we're also looking at the mentors using using technology.
Absolutely,
How
yeah.
how is that going to be a game changer?
Oh, so we actually did a lot of thinking over this, about our systems, our ecosystem that we have in our schools today. Even with a lot of international schools, Joyce, you'll see the mentors are so stuck up with their admin work, their paperwork, that they get so exhausted by the time they reach the student where the mentorship is required, the exchange has to happen, they're drained.
Absolutely.
Our mentors are completely drained.
Yes.
Because they have so much of the admin work that they have to do for the institute or something like that. Anyway, so we, as a founder, as an administrator, myself, we decided at Aura we're going to kind of zero to none admin work for our teaching mentors. Yeah,
that sounds really ambitious.
I mean, just think about it.
Yeah.
I know it's ambitious. I
Yes,
know, but
yes.
you have to create systems and you have to problem solve, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what gets the mentor or teacher or guide stuck? Your paperwork, your this, your attendance, and if all of that is taken care of, and it's just one-on-one, you're looking at that child. You're focusing on their academic
Yes.
progress on their own way and how you can help them or let them be or let them navigate their path. Give them some autonomy or not autonomy. You can make those decisions.
Yes.
When you're not drained. It's
Yes.
as simple as that.
Very much.
So
Very
so
much.
yeah. So at the school we are trying our best
Yes.
to kind of use our teachers for teaching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds so good because
Yeah.
teachers are meant to spend that time with the children,
Correct,
with the
correct,
students,
correct.
where learning has to take place.
Absolutely.
And not majority of the teacher's time doing admin and, focusing on things. Sometimes I feel it's just takes away from that whole journey of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see most of the teachers, they post school also or anything, they're just, they're just running. We have to finish this and we have to, and also the sizes of classrooms also become big, and they cannot focus. And a lot of kids, the academically front kids get the focus because they are the easy ones to handle, right?
Yes.
And the other ones, the average ones, are somewhere in the middle, and the backbenchers are like, and then that goes into the rebel. That so
Yes.
that's I think that's been a pattern.
Yes.
In most
so Rima,
of the
how
schools.
do you plan on mitigating that? You have the ones who are very bright right in front, as you said. Then we have the backbenchers, and then we have those in between.
In between.
How do we tackle that?
Hey.
And how is it going to be different at Aura?
So let me. You're a mom, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You have 2 kids.
Yes.
Yes. So, I do. I have a daughter and I have a son. Now, having 2 children, I have this thing. My daughter is a creative one, highly creative, and my son is the academic one. So, finding a space for both of them in one
Yeah.
place is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Like the academic child has very well set up school ecosystems where he can glide through it.
Yeah.
And for a creative child, they will get what? 1 music class, 1 drama class, or max 1 art class.
Yes.
A week.
Oh,
A week.
yes.
So, and the rest of the times they're just adjusting to
Trying to
God,
fit into the
trying to
mold.
fit in. Oh God, I got a math class. I got 2 back to back. So see, intelligences. There are different intelligences in children. In all of us.
Yeah.
And how does that not be important? How is an academic more important than this?
Yeah.
So it's now the world is changing so quickly. Now all focuses come onto this.
Yes.
So there has to be education. All schools, not only our school, all schools have to understand this, that you have to have a safe space for both these kind of intelligences.
And we are going to see that at Aura.
Yes. I hopefully we're creating that space for them.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'm pretty sure about it. But that's where we want our idea of the school was based on this.
Yes.
That we want to have a space where both are academic, creative, mathematical, logical, all these students can flourish together.
Oh, sounds like a perfect world, Reema, to me, really. But coming back to technology, what is your advice for the parents who are shying away? And there are a lot of them who are shying away for technology when it comes to the education of their children.
See, I think what we are looking at all around the media and everything today is more to do with social media and peer pressure and stuff that has negative impacts on children, and especially children who are growing, the 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, they see a lot. But I mean, I think now with so much of the AI happening, and there's a lot of content even on social media that is going to be AI generated. And I feel eventually the interest is going to die down. And people are not going to be mad doom scrolling as much as they do now, because they know it's going to be fake or it's going to be generated by AI, so I think that, that phase is coming, and it's coming sooner than you think.
Okay.
And for me, technology is really important as I said, it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
When you use it as a tool to help you navigate your problems faster. Imagine you finish a task, what we used to take 10 hours, you finish it in 2 hours.
Yes.
So why would you not use it?
Yes.
I mean, why would you want to spend 10 hours?
Absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely. Makes so much sense.
It's just that at Aura we want to use it as a tool, and that's our major, major C. Yeah, sometimes you lose words.
Yes.
They just
but we get the point. We get the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today I feel children are being prepared for examinations more than life. And I know this is a very, very deep thought, but it's as simple as it sounds. Are our children really prepared for life or just examinations? And along the way somewhere, are we really forgetting the difference between the two? What's your take on that?
See, as a Indian parent mindset, born, raised here, it has been the most important factor for any Indian parent is the success of a student is always marked by that child's marks, that child's percentile. It's been, and I've seen hundreds, and I've seen it myself, a lot of my friends who were top benchers, and they were like, 90 and 80, and they're all they've got jobs, they're doing great, but they're still in that mold. If you tell them, okay, come on, let's do this business together, that's just fear. No, I have a mortgage, I have this, I have that. There's a lot of that mold that they fit in to that, and that for them, for the parents, and the idea of success is that. But now, as you said, how the change is happening, and happening so fast.
Yes.
You're not going to have those jobs. You're going to have the mortgage, but you're not going to have the jobs.
Yes. Yes. And we've seen that.
And we've seen that. We're seeing it. I mean, the world is changing so fast. Like, it's scary. It genuinely is scary. So, you have to understand that today we have to have skills. Today, if a child needs to do well in life, or whatever you say, what the future, what should a child be doing?
Yes.
Or what should he pursue or she pursue? It has to be skills. You have to have a set of skills.
Yes.
You have to have your academic skill. Yes. You have to know your math, science, English, history background, but you have to have skills. You have to know a couple of extra things, public speaking. You need to know financial literacy, how the world, geopolitics, humanities. I mean, there's great careers in humanities now.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that what we thought earlier is all beginning to move and to change.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility as educators to understand and vision that change and look, oh my God, this is coming. We got to prepare for it.
Yes.
And if we're going to be like, no, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, and not be complacent. We just
go
with the flow.
Yeah, you just be complacent about it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
what the hell? You can see it coming. You open your phone and you see every day something or the other is new.
Absolutely.
So it's our responsibility to make sure that as educators, we change with time. We show the children the skills that are required. We tell them, we train them.
Yeah.
We have to put this all under one roof.
Yes.
You cannot just have 7 hours of hardcore academics in one place.
Yes.
It's not going to work for that child.
Absolutely.
And tomorrow once the child is going to go out, he's going to be like, and then the child is going and doing this class and that class and piano and bhalana and dhekana. I'm sorry, whatever that means. It's exhausting, that child. You're not living.
And Reema, that brings me to the Aura Atelier program, because I've heard that you have a fantastic Atelier program. Would you like to tell us about the Atelier program and how does it actually help the child in real life skills building?
Oh my God! Oh, this is honestly my favorite. We have been, what do I say? When I was thinking about starting the school, the only thing that was running through my mind is, how do I integrate these life skills? Kids, every curriculum, you need to spend these many hours on this class, and you need to spend this many hours on this class or this subject, and only once this subject is complete and this is the curriculum and this is completed, and then you can go forward. Who said so?
Yeah.
I mean, who's done this?
Yes.
For me, I feel if a child is in 4th grade and they can do 6th grade math, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yes.
So again, differentiation learning.
Yes.
Now, once you have your academic, that time gets quick, then you have a lot of time for your life skills.
Yes.
So we thought of starting this Atelier program where we have workshops. So we have, we thought, what do we need?
Yes.
We need good entrepreneurs. We need people who can work with their hands. We have carpentry, you got textile, you got artists, sculptures. How about changing the tire? Tell me one child in the 7th grade can change a tire or knows how a bike works.
Yes.
Tell me one kid.
Very
today.
relevant question.
Yes. Tell me one kid.
Yes.
Or public speaking. I mean, you might get 80 on 80, but you tell them to stand up and speak. Come on, say something. And they're just lost. They don't know what the body language is and how you're supposed to present yourself. And financial literacy. About that? How about learning about the stock market early?
Yes.
Our times.
I think it's so important.
No, I mean, our times, Joyce, I'm not joking. If you spoke about the stock market to our parents, you're like, पैसे डूब जाएंगे तेरे. उसमें बात कर जुआ
So a lot of misconceptions there as well.
जुआ है, जुआ मत खेलो. I said, it's not जुआ. God damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, times have changed. Things have changed. Perceptions have changed. And you have to change with time.
And are you saying that first grader is going to learn about financial literacy?
Course. Why not?
Oh, yes.
I mean, there are ways to teach children about every concept. It's just you have to use the language.
Absolutely.
You should know what language they understand.
Yes.
And
so it looks like a Atelier program looks like something that is well thought of, well planned, because you need to have individual curriculums for grades.
Yeah.
And each atelier, like you spoke about, entrepreneurship and artists. Yeah. So I think it's something that children are really gain a lot from this program.
They will also engage in their academics really well.
Yes.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Suppose you're learning about fractions in math. And you've done your class, and then you move to your life skill hour, and you're doing baking in our cooking atelier.
Oh, interesting.
And then you're like, oh my God, I have to use 1/4 of a cup.
Yes.
So you're just applying.
Yes.
The more you learn and apply immediately, that concept sticks longer.
Yes.
than just looking at it or watching a video about it.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh, okay, I have to do homework.
Yes, that
But just you use it.
and I think that makes so
Yeah,
much sense
yeah,
because a
just-
baker recently told me that 50% of my job is doing calculations, you know.
exactly, yeah.
Yes, and measuring
Yeah,
and you know,
absolutely,
getting everything
yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's so interesting. I mean, it's something that I'm sure parents are really talking about and are really, really looking forward to checking out.
I think all parents can see it also. You know, now application has become more important than just theory. And I'm meeting a lot of them. I'm a parent too, so I meet my children's parents and friends' parents and everyone. And so, you know, it's natural. You know, everyone is thinking in that
Yes.
direction, and it's bound to happen. That the change is there.
Yeah.
It's at the border of everything. You know, it's. And everyone's rushing to it. All everyone's thinking about it. I'm
Sounds
sure.
really amazing,
Yeah,
Reema.
yeah.
Can't wait to see how it, you know, entirely unfolds for you.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
This brings me to a very important subject. My favorite, Goa. Goa is
My
slow.
favorite too.
Oh, Goa is slow. Goa is rhythmic.
Yeah.
Goa takes its time. It has a lot of patience. Reema, what drew you to Goa, and how did it shape your vision for Aura World School?
Firstly, let me just tell you something. Goa is one of the most incredible places to live in. I mean, there's nothing not to like about Goa. How can
Yeah.
you not be drawn towards Goa? That's my
Yes.
first question to you.
Yeah.
But just for the story, my husband worked here in the government many years, 20, 25 years. And after that, we are basically what I call is the pandemic immigrant.
Ooh.
So my kids were young, and we just came in for 15 days, and then that whole showdown happened.
Yes.
And you kind of just realize that, yeah, this is where I want to raise my kids. You know, I wanted to raise them by the soil, by, you know, very grounded.
Yes.
And good air. You know,
Yes.
that was the main thing. But also, you know, in some time I just realized something, you know, about Goa. And Goa it's not about a lifestyle or Susegad or something. It's got this rhythm. You know, it's
That smile just said a
yeah.
lot more. You know, it's
it's got this flow, you know, and once you catch that wave of that rhythm,
Yes.
it just fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
It doesn't rush you. It does not. It does not demand too much out of you. It does not. You know, like most of the cities, you know, you don't do anything. You're doing something, and you feel unproductive. Oh my God, I'm so complacent. And Goa just gives you that rhythm. And, you know, basically, it honestly, for me, I'm more productive here. I have so much more time to think about the things I really want to think about, and not be stuck in traffic and you know,
Yes.
spend hours in it and think,
Yes.
oh my God, I have such a productive day. Oh, I'm so tired, and I've just worked for 1 hour.
Yes.
So you know what I mean?
So tell me about Aura. Now, you know, obviously it's in Goa.
Yeah.
Goa is your inspiration. When did that first thought come into your mind for Aura?
Honestly, it happened very organically. You know, I've been in education, and I wanted to do something very very organic again. You know, very with the rhythm, not rushed. The school Aura has, you know, the idea is not rushed. You know,
Yes.
Aura honestly has its presence. You know, that kind of education is what can be done in Goa only. You know,
Okay.
the mindset.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean, I know what
The
you
rhythm.
mean. The rhythm, and
The
I
rhythm.
really get
Yeah,
that point.
yeah.
But you know, we talk about giving back to the society and the community at large. Through Aura World School, how do you want to maintain this balance and create this meaningful impact where you want to give back to the society and the local communities?
I think you cannot work without that in any place. Even as a matter of fact, having your locals, the more local people you have with you, you're connected to the land, you're connected to the history. So at Aura, we want to have as many people who are from here, especially our helping staff, our back end staff, and everyone, who are from this place, who know this land, and then they also are a very big part of bringing up your children. I hope you know that.
Yes.
And they spend so much time with them. In fact, more than you. Sometimes the
Yeah.
kids are in school, and they help your
Very
children
much.
out on that basis. So yeah, we're looking at having a beautiful community as in Aura as we all work together. So that's
Wow, that's beautiful. That's really, really wonderful to hear. Reema, something that everyone's been talking about and want to know. Why the name Aura?
Oh wow, I love the name Aura, particularly because it means now. Now, I mean, not in a rushed way.
Yeah.
Now, not like that. Now means presence.
Mindful.
Mindful, being mindful. So one of my favorite authors, Eckhart Tolle, I read his book Now. It comes with a lot of that to me. So the school, the culture in the institute has to be mindful, very present. When the educators, the guides, us administrators walk in, has to be mindful. It's today. What are we doing today? How are we going to utilize this day for now?
And savor
Being
that
present.
moment. Being present and savoring the moment.
Savoring. I think those things are not taught too much
Yes.
at any place. Even at home, it's always rush. Hey, get ready for school. Come on, bus is here.
Yes.
Or come on, finish this. You have your next class.
Yes. It's just slowing
It's always,
down
it's
and
always-
feeling that moment.
It's always so rushed.
Okay, so are you trying to say that your mentors are going to be trained in a way where they first are mindful themselves?
We are going to be doing extensive training. I mean, we can have someone who's going to have 20 years of experience as an educator,
Yes.
but they have to go through this process of training for us. Because the culture at Aura is not going to be what every school has. Teacher coming in and doing this, and then curriculum is over or not over. It's going to be very human.
Yes.
They have to have all the soft skills. And I feel a lot of our teachers have lost that soft skills.
Yes.
They've got into this box,
Yes.
where it's very difficult to pull them out.
And those checklists where they have to continuously tick mark those checklists. Okay, I need to do this. I need to send this report. I need to, fill in this particular Excel sheet. And where is the human touch there? Because that human connection, I think, is what makes a mentor really great.
Yeah.
So it's really heartening to hear this.
Yeah. So see, that's exactly what we want to make sure that our educators have really good soft skills.
Yes.
I mean, there are loads of teachers who are amazing at teaching. They will make a kid understand that concept really quickly and very well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But when it comes to softer skills, how do we handle students who are they're not getting through with it? Or
also the empathy part of it.
And when you're being a peer guide, you become a second parent, to that child. You kind of connect. And a lot of our teachers have lost that.
Yeah. So, Reema, are you trying to say that you're ready to forego a good teacher with 25 years of academic excellence and experience if she doesn't have the soft skills?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Okay.
I mean, it's not possible. I mean, they'll be too rigid. This is the way I have taught for 25 years. How are you telling me to do this now?
Yes.
Oh, kaise hoega? It's not possible only. You cannot. Flexibility is the key.
Yes.
When there's so much change that's going to happen, that's coming through, you got to be flexible.
Yes.
You got to engage in a different way.
Yes.
I mean, we always look at experience, but what is required today is not that experience that you've had earlier.
Yeah.
The world is changing.
It's changing.
So that
And it's
experience has to change.
Yes, and it's your attitude that's going to determine
absolutely.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. That's great. It brings me now to this word, which is making and creating waves in Goa. Micro school. What is a micro school, Rima, and why a micro school?
Deep breath.
Yes.
It's a long one. Okay, so honestly, I'll tell you, the micro school concept is more, I mean, it's not a new concept, to be honest. It's been happening all over the world in many different forms. But why do I call it the micro school? Is because the idea here is to have smaller classrooms. I don't mean by size, but the population of the classroom has to be small. What does that do? When you have just 15 kids in a classroom and you have one guide and one mentor or 1.5 mentor in a school, the overall flourishing of that child happens in every direction, aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the word I was looking for. In every aspect, where the well-being is there, where the creativity, what direction is this child wanting, and how well or how you can counsel this kid in what career path, and
Yes.
all of that. So it becomes a holistic overall
Development.
of that child.
Yes.
And that development happens at only when the population is smaller.
Yes.
And there's attention given to detail.
Yes.
And micro schools are basically meant to be giving more attention to the child, and the child can have this autonomy to learn in his own path, in his own space.
Yes. And do you think this is the future of India?
Of course, 110%. This is the future. I mean, if you see logistically also, I mean, now you see most of the schools, if you buy a land and I'm talking about a founder, if I want to start a school, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to start a school somewhere new. I need 5 acres of land, and then that land is going to cost me a couple of 100 crores, and then the construction is going to cost me a couple another 100 crores, and then the teachers and the payments, and then that pressure then goes into targeted parents of the fees go up, it's 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. And then that pattern.
Yes.
Then that thing, that rabbit hole is the same thing. But if anyone has a good space with 35,000 square feet, and a lot of people, so just think about this. Just think about it as a future, you have, every area has a micro school, every area with their own micro school.
Yes.
And the children of that area going to that micro school with the teachers from that area, the training from that area. And honestly, logistically, the return from the business will be way faster. The investment and the return will be so much more faster. So obviously, when you are logistically comfortable, you can do well in the school. You don't pressurize the teachers. You don't pressurize for admissions. You don't pressurize for a certain way. You're just concentrating on the education.
Yes, and the quality.
The quality of
Yes.
education.
Yes.
So I think it can become, it can be the future, in spite of our population.
Yes.
Trust me, it
Yes.
can be. It just, the direction has to come right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we have any young listeners or entrepreneurs who want to get into, a startup school, a micro school, what's your advice for them?
Call me.
Call Rima.
Yeah.
But interesting. I never looked at it in that sense,
it is,
but I
it
think
is.
that's the future, and it's doable.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
doable.
Yes.
Absolutely. Especially in 2-tier, 3-tier cities. It can be done very quickly.
Let's talk about something that is very, very close to my heart. A space where I have spent a lot of time with. It's the mental health space. And I know everybody talks about it, but how many of us are really doing something about it? And if I see majority of the schools, we are not paying attention to mental well-being. It's just an extra and not a necessity. How then at Aura World School, you will balance the academic rigor with mental and emotional well-being?
They're not different. I mean, for us, mental well-being is academic rigor. There's no. How can you differentiate? I mean, just to think about it, a student who feels safe in an environment does well in the academics. I mean, there cannot be differentiation. If a child, most of the children who are not doing well, now even today at schools, you pick up any school and you say, this child is not doing well in studies. You see they are not mentally feeling safe in that place.
Yes.
99.99% is my guarantee. So if you have a place where well-being comes first, automatically it's a trickle effect.
Yeah.
You're academically going to do well. So it's not different. At Aura, it's one.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be one place. Yeah.
And at Aura, you will have a space dedicated to mental health?
Of course, most of our educators, we are going to be training. We are going to be training them specifically for, having these child psychology sessions with them and having...
and sensitizing them as well.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
I think it's really the need of the
I
hour.
think
It's not
so.
even it's not
And
an added luxury. It's a necessity.
Now, there is a topic of mental health. When we were going to school, what mental health?
Yeah.
Our parents would give us one tight slap. What
Yes,
what
yes.
depression?
Yes.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. Absolutely.
So-
and there's so much of awareness today.
Exactly.
It's appalling that we are not paying attention
Yeah.
to this area.
And this is the way the schools have to move forward today.
Yes.
Because there's also, we didn't have those kind of pressures that these kids have today. The exposure is immense, and they, at such young brains, they want to be something all the time, and it has to be a part of the
Yes.
school's
program.
foundation. Yeah,
Very
100%.
much. Very much.
So this is going to be a major part of our school foundation, and it should be for all schools, I feel.
Yes.
It should
Yes.
be. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It should just not be
It's
one sofa and one counselor sitting there and she's just disciplining you. Okay, you said this to the, that's wrong, discipline. Or should not said that bad word to the, no, not like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be very detailed. Every child's going to have their proper, file with us.
Yes.
And throughout
And
the
it's going to be
years.
very structured.
Yeah, it's going to be very
and
structured.
the counselor and the SEN
Yes.
facilitator is going to,
Absolutely.
handle
Yeah.
those kids as well.
Correct.
Okay, that brings me to leadership and work culture. It's so important that we talk about these things because, if we have a home, our workplace is our second home.
Yeah.
What kind of educators thrive at Aura?
This is the same, it's the same with what we were just having a conversation
Yes.
about. It's about well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, if I am going to work at a place which has a good atmosphere where I am allowed to be myself and the skills that I possess, and I'm allowed to use my skills according the trust that the institute has on me, if they have that on me and I'm not micromanaging everything, firstly. Secondly, there is a culture of family, community. And we all are sitting together and we speak about every child in our own way, like we speak about our own children. Just think about it,
Yes.
it's a place where there is trust, I think works very well.
Yes.
And at any of our institutes, it's just not Aura, to be honest.
Yeah.
At any of our institutes, this is the culture.
Yes.
I think my father started this culture from the very beginning about trust. You trust the people. That's the principle. You trust that principle. That's the administrative office. You trust that administrative officer. They know their job. They're doing their job. And if the job is not done well, then you have to question.
Yes.
You lay it out. This is what we want as an institute, as a Sanstha. We need this from you. And it's up to them.
Yes.
You give them that.
And it's so mutual, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Nobody is working for anybody here. You're working for yourselves. You're working to build these relationships, and
Yes.
and that's
It's really heartening to hear something like this because I think a change like this is really needed. And I'm saying this not just because it's missing. I think more and more entrepreneurs have to get into
Yeah,
this,
absolutely.
where they learn to respect, where they learn
100%.
to understand, trust, because
You
ultimately,
got to delegate. You learn,
Yeah.
learn to delegate. You can't micromanage everything also
Yes.
today. I mean, like all these big guys, they are only delegating most of it. And I mean, today we have to also show people how to do that. Show our kids how to do that, right?
Yes.
Today, when we again going back to our programs in school, the programs in school, they're going to teach our children. We're going to give them real life situations where they need to do team building, and the leaders have to be, to show trust in their team,
Yes.
and all of that.
yes, and they
You know,
learn
they learn
skills
through all
like
this.
critical
Yeah, absolutely.
thinking and
Yeah.
problem solving.
Yeah.
And I think it's great if they learn this at a very young age. Okay, Reema, this brings me to a very important question. What values were you looking for when you were putting your founding team together?
I was basically looking for 3 idiots. No, I mean what I mean by 3. Have you seen the movie 3 Idiots?
Yes, I have.
You've
Yes.
seen these 3 different characters, completely different characters. Someone something, someone something, someone something. But when they came together, what happened?
Magic.
Magic. So that's it.
Yes.
Those are my 3 idiots.
Oh, it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. You need to have people with different values come together to create a place that you want
Yeah.
for yourself.
Yes.
People coming from different walks of life, different experiences, when they all come together, especially as educators, you bring that so beautifully together, and then this relationship this friendship turns into work. And honestly, when it's very difficult to find people who understand you in a go, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And I was bloody lucky, boss, to find you guys.
Okay, Reema, this brings me to my favorite part, personal reflections. What has starting Aura taught you about your own self as a leader and as a human being?
I'm still learning. I mean, I think this is a journey. I mean, it's without a certain destination to it. I think learning is a process that keeps on happening. Every day you got to make decisions.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to change your decisions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to go a certain path, so I think this journey is more about making sure that what we are offering, or what we want our kids to have. Like for me, I'm going to make a school that I want to send my children to. For a creative mind, for an academic mind, where one place comes in.
Yes.
So for me, this journey is everything to do with me. It's nothing to do with anybody else,
Yes.
to be honest.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And how do you stay grounded while building something so meaningful and yet so demanding as a school?
It's family, man. At the end of the day, it's your parents. It's your. I have a very loving husband, handsome also. But yeah, my kids are there, and I think for everyone, it has to do with your relationships, the right relationships, the right support. My in-laws are a mad support for me. My parents have been crazy support for me. So I think at the end of my friends are there. I have a wonderful bunch of friends. And at the end of the day, whatever you do, all this is the periphery of what lies in the center is me. For me, I have to meditate twice a day. I have to go to the gym. I have to go party with my friends in the weekend.
Yes.
So
So do you mean when you say have to,
mean
does
this-
it put a lot of pressure on you?
No. I mean, what
Okay.
I mean by
Yes.
it's like it's the person I am.
Okay.
It's
It's something that you choose to do.
it's something, going to the gym is like going to a temple for me, because my body is a temple for me. But also when I go out with my friends, we have a good time. we come together, we speak about our achievements, we speak about our children, and that grounding, that human element to whatever you're doing.
Yes.
I think it comes forward.
Yes.
When it's more meaningful, you have more meaningful connections in your life. I think all that comes forward in
Very
that way.
much.
Yeah.
And I think it really shows.
Yeah, thank you so much. Joyce.
Yes.
You're very kind.
So 5 years or 10 years down the line, Reema, what kind of an impact do you hope Aura World School will have on its kids?
I mean, if you mean like a student,
Yes.
right? I mean, if a student does pass through Aura, I would be really happy, or I mean, ecstatic actually, if that student would say, I went to a school that let me be myself.
Yes.
Aura is a place where future finds its form.
Wow. Wow, that sounds so good. That sounds so good. Okay, Reema, this has come to the end of our beautiful conversational journey.
Man, I had such a good time.
Yes, I
Thank you so
think this was
much.
just so wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so honest. And this has been you've been a powerhouse of inspiration, information,
thank
and the
you.
honesty and the unfiltered, unscripted version of you has truly been heartening. Thank you so much. But one thing that you would like to leave our educators, listeners, or someone who just is sitting there and thinking, oh, this is education. This is something that education needs to change, and this is what it should be. What are your thoughts for them?
I mean, it's kind of like for me, I think everyone should be aware of their own child at this point, see what that child really is, instead of, what interests him, her,
Yes.
how I can enhance that life experience for this child, even as a parent or even as an educator, those things, just that awareness. I think awareness is everything.
Yes.
Observation.
It
Observation,
really is.
awareness. And if you just have that much, I think a lot of things get filtered out after that.
Yes.
So yeah, awareness. Just be aware.
Yes.
Just be aware of
Yes.
everything.
Thank you, Reema.
Yeah, thank you,
you
Joyce.
very
Thank
much
you
for
having
being
me.
here.
I had a blast.
Thank you for your time,
Yeah.
and thank you for being truly unscripted.
Thank you, Joyce.
We've just had a chat with Reema Bhasin, who's the founder of the Aura World School. And she spoke about micro schools, and she spoke about life skills program. And I think it's very important to come forward and make this change. Watch out for Aura World School, as it's set to change the face of education in Goa. This is Unscripted with Joyce. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and follow my channel.